Hello everyone, welcome back to Andrina's Creations. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make your own character cutouts. You can do these character cutouts for anything of your choice, and you're going to see how easy they are to make. So let's get started. For your supplies, you are going to need cardstock. If you don't have a cutting machine, you are going to need a pair of scissors to cut it out by hand, and of course your printer. I'll be using 12 by 12 100-pound cardstock, just solid color to go behind my characters. You do not need to use the color black. You can use any color of your choice. Just because of the characters that I'm doing today, I'll be using solid black cardstock to back up my characters. And to print, I am going to be using 12 by 12 white 110-pound cardstock. You can use 100-pound. You can even use 65-pound cardstock. It's up to you. Now I'll be using 12 by 12 because I have a wide format printer. If you only have a printer that prints up to 8 by 11, that is the size cardstock you have to use. But I have a wide format printer, EcoTank 16600. You do not have to use the EcoTank printer. You can use any wide format printer of your choice. And as long as your printer allows this size, you can go ahead and print any size, like 11 by 17, 12 by 18, 13 by 19, 12 by 12, 8 by 11. It's totally up to you. Again, I'll be using a cutting machine. I have the Cameo cutting machine. I have the Cameo 4 and the Cameo 3s, but they all do the same thing. They all cut. And again, glue of your choice. I do have my own brand of glue, Andrina's Creations crafting glue. You can purchase it on my website at andrinascreations.com. At this moment of this video, I am out of stock, but I should be in stock pretty soon. All right, so let's go ahead and start designing. Okay, once you open up your software, I have Silhouette Business Edition. You can use Silhouette Basic Edition for free, but I highly recommend Silhouette Business Edition. It is a one-time payment. I have a link down below on how to download the Basic Edition for free. And then I also have a link, an affiliate link from Swing Design to upgrade to Business Edition. Now, you do first have to download the Basic Edition straight from Silhouette's website, and then you are able to upgrade. You do not need a cutting machine to use this software. I highly recommend this software because to me, you can design whatever you want in here. All right, so let's get started. So today, like I said, we will be doing characters. So depending on the size of characters that you are going to be doing, you are going to decide what paper size you are going to be using. Now, it also depends on the size that your printer prints. I have a wide format printer, meaning that I can print bigger than 8 by 11. If you only have an 8 by 11 printer, you need to put your paper size to 8 by 11. And where do you do that at? Is your first icon on your right that looks like a paper. You're going to click there, and where it says media size, you're going to change it to 8 by 11. Again, this all means depending on the printer that you have. Again, I have a wide format, so I'm actually going to print on 12 by 12 cardstock. So I'm gonna put my media size to 12 by 12. Some people have their transparency on 100. I have mine on 0 just because I like to see my matte, like this is like the paper that you're going to be using. I'm also going to be doing a print and cut. A print and cut means that I'm going to print it and I'm going to let my machine cut it. If you do not have a cutting machine, you can actually cut this out by hand. It's kind of time consuming, but yes, you can do it and cut it out by hand. All right. So again, it all depends on what you are using these characters for. Are you using them for centerpieces? Are you putting them as table decorations on top of a treat bag, on top of a box, on top, is it for the cake? Is it for cupcake toppers? Are you using it for Rice Krispie toppers, apple toppers? Do you just want to put them on a banner to decorate your child's room? Characters can be used for anything in general, to personalize anything of your choice. Now, because I am going to be doing a print and cut, you do need to turn on your registration marks. If you were just printing and cutting by hand, you do not need to turn on your registration marks. I am going to be doing a print and cut, so I'm still on the first icon. If you do not know the names of your icon, you can just put your mouse over your icons and it will let you know what the name of the icons are. I'm still on the first one on the page setup, and there's 3 options. So I'm going to click on the third option, turn on my registration marks, and where it says thickness, I'm going to have mine all the way up to 1. As you can see, when I turned on the registration marks, now my mat has this red square and these black outlines. These black outlines, it's what the laser of the cutting machine is going to register so it can cut whatever is on your mat. Anything that you are going to be doing a print and cut should stay inside of the red square. Anything that's outside of the red square, you're going to have to manually cut it. So don't think that just because I have this image here and now his legs are out here that now I can't print it. You can still print it, but whatever's outside of the red squares, you're going to have to cut it out by hand. Now there's different options on doing these characters. Sometimes it is a hit and miss when you are doing a print and cut, because when the machine is going to cut around it, it might like mess up and it's going to cut inside of your image, or it's not going to cut exactly around your image. It's always a hit and miss. So I like to add an offset around it. Before we do all this, you're going to get your images from wherever you want to purchase your images, or if it's just practice, go ahead and Google an image, and I highly recommend getting a PNG image. PNG image means that they are a transparent background image. It doesn't have that white box behind it. So when you find a PNG image on Google, it is going to have gray and white rectangles behind it. You're going to click on that image. You're going to right click and save it to your computer. You have to save it. Now these images I purchased from Etsy. So they're all here. So these images are actually also an SVG. An SVG is also a cut file. So if I didn't want to print these images, I can easily cut all these pieces out of cardstock. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to print them out. I know this is a lot of information, but I'm just trying to explain everything as much as I can. Also, a lot of people get confused. Are SVGs only allowed to get cut with vinyl or cardstock? No, you're able to also print out SVGs, which that's exactly what I'm going to be doing here. This image is an SVG. So if I right click and ungroup this image, I actually could cut out all these pieces out of vinyl and cardstock and stuff like that. Up here is the undo button. It's the backwards arrow. So I'm just going to undo everything. And again, this image is a SVG, but I'm going to print it out. I'm not going to cut it out of vinyl or cardstock or anything like that. Again, how do you, after you save your images or purchase your images, you're going to go to File, you're going to go to Merge, and you're going to bring in your image. So I'm going to click on one and click on OK. As you can see, this is actually a PNG image that I got from online, and I just saved it to my computer. You have several options, again, because like I said, sometimes when you're doing a print and cut, zoom in and zoom out button is up here, sorry, is a plus sign and the minus sign, so you can zoom in and you can zoom out. You can actually let your machine just cut this out around the image, but like I said, sometimes it's a hit and miss and it can mess up. I do have version Silhouette Business Edition version 4.4. So as soon as you bring a PNG image, it automatically gets traced for you. So you do not have to do nothing extra when you bring in a PNG image. So it's already traced for you. And what that means is if I want to go ahead and cut this out, I could go do so. Don't forget to turn on your registration marks. Go to the Send tab on your right top corner, and if I zoom in, you're going to see a red outline around this image. Anything that you see a red outline is what your machine is going to want to cut. So as of now, my machine is going to want to cut around the image. Again, because it's always a hit and miss, I'm going to add an offset around my image. And how about you do that is, while my image is selected, and how do you know stuff is selected is you're going to see a rectangle around your image. Now my image is selected. I'm going to go to my offset icon. It looks like a double star. I'm going to click on offset, and you're going to play around with the distance of your choice. Where it says distance, I'm going to type 0.055. Again, it's up to you on the distance of your choice. If I zoom in, you're going to see this is my offset around the image. So actually when my machine goes to cut this image out, I wanted to cut around here. So all my images is going to have a white outline around it. You don't have to do that, but that's how I'm going to cut mine out. If you do not want yours to have a white outline, you can actually click on your offset, go to your fill icon, it looks like a paint palette, and you can color your offset any color of your choice. So when you print this image out, it's not going to be white, it's going to be a color. If you don't like any of these colors that Silhouette provides, you can actually click on the dropper in the fill icon. I'm still in the fill icon, and I'm going to click on the red, and now my offset is that color. Again, I'm going to leave mine white, and I'm going to go back to the send tab, and you have to do this extra step. Right now you see two lines. You see one line around the image, one line on the offset. So if you leave it like this, you're actually going to let the machine cut the image out, and then you're going to have an outline of the offset. You don't want that. So I'm going to click around here on my screen to unselect everything. I'm going to click on the image and click on no cut. I don't want the machine to cut the image, I just want the machine to cut around the offset. All right, how would you size your images? So if you have, I did not group the offset, so I'm going to click here on my screen, drag my mouse to select both, and you will see two rectangles, and you will size by pulling from the corner, big or small. Again, depending on what you're doing with these characters, that's the size that you're going to be using. If you don't know specifically the size that you need, just go ahead and measure what you're trying to design, and that's how you're going to come up with the measurements of your choice. Again, I don't recommend pulling from the sides. I don't recommend pulling from the top. You're distorting the image. I always recommend pulling from the bottom corners, from all the corners, and you will not distort the image. You're going to place the image to be inside of the red rectangle when you are ready to go ahead and cut. So I'm actually going to add an offset to all these images here. And I'm going to do an offset of all of them at the same time. You need to make sure that you separate all your images so the offsets don't connect. So I'm going to click somewhere here on my screen. I'm going to drag my mouse to select everything and let go of my mouse. I see a rectangle all around each image. That means every image is selected. I'm going to go to the offset icon, click on offset. Because there's a lot of offsets, it's going to take a minute. Then I'm going to type 0.055 on the distance because I want all of them to have the same distance on the offset. Now, once you have the offsets on all your images, you're going to start. No, I did not group the offsets with the images. So you're going to start placing your characters on your mat. Remember, you're also able to work all around your workspace, all this gray area. If you just zoom out, you're able to work all around your gray area, and you can zoom in also, okay? So don't think that you could only be working on this mat. You could work all around the gray area. Once you have your characters on your mat, you're going to decide again the measurements that you want your characters. I'm going to be making these around roughly around 10.5 to 11 inches each. So as of now, he is around, let me see, around 10.2. But if I rotate him just a little bit, I think that's right. Right now he's at 10.25. I'm trying to make sure everything's inside of my red box. Like I said, you can rotate and stuff like that to make sure everything fits in here good. All right, so once you're ready to print this out, you need to go to your printer icon that is up here. Do not forget that whenever you're going to be printing there's 3 different spots that your paper size should be matching. First spot was at the page setup when I told you to put your media size, the paper size that you are going to be using. Second spot is when you click on the printer icon, you are ready to print. Here you're going to click on print. You're going to select the printer that you're going to be printing. Again, I have a wide format EcoTank 16600. I'm going to click on that printer. I'm going to click on preferences. Paper source, I am going to be printing from the back paper tray. So I'm going to click on that. Document size is right now on 8 by 11. I am not going to be printing on 8 by 11. I'm going to be printing on 12 by 12 cardstock. So I need to go all the way down where it says user defined. I'm going to click on OK, and here where it says paper width, I'm going to type 12 and enter. And on the width, I'm going to type 12. Okay, and then I'm going to click on OK. So right now it's set to 12 by 12 user defined. Where it says paper type, right now it says plain paper. I don't like to print on those settings. I like to print on presentation paper matte. If by any means you do not have all these options and you do have a wide format printer, please don't forget to download the drivers of your printer. Your printer should have came with a CD, and if you didn't download that, sometimes you're not gonna have all those options on your computer. If you do not, if you have a laptop and you cannot enter a CD, go ahead to the website of your printer so you can download the driver exactly from online. All right. Once you put all these settings, I'm going to click on OK and print it. Once I print it, I am going to load the paper, to put the paper on the mat and load the mat to my cutting machine. Go to the Send tab, and I need to select them both and click on cut. And unselected, I'm going to just click on the image and click on no cut. I just want the offset to be cut, not the image. The reason why you saw all them lines there is because this is an SVG. So if I click on it and I go back to cut, you're going to see that the machine's going to want to cut out all those pieces. You're only going to see all those pieces if you're using an SVG, but I don't want to get cut, so I just want the offset to get cut around it. If by any means you were not going to do an offset, and if I had this on cut, because it is an SVG, it's going to want to cut all around it. The way that you would not let the machine cut all those pieces out is if I just click on cut to edge, and it's going to cut out around it. I click on cut to edge, not cut, is on cut to edge. All right. Now I like my settings that I like to cut cardstock because I'm going to be using 100-pound cardstock. I'm going to put my blade to a 6. I'm going to put my force to a 28. And I'm going to put my speed to a 4. Because it is a thick cardstock, I am going to go to 2 passes. All right, and just let the machine cut it out. Once that cuts out, I'm going to repeat the same steps with each character. Let me put him back with his offset. All right, once you're done printing out all your images, now you are going to go back to your page setup, go to the 3rd option and turn off your registration marks. Remember, I said you can do this however you would like. My preference is I like everything that I do to be very sturdy and thick. This is another step that you do not have to do, but I do like to do this. Remember that I use an offset around this image. So technically my image is a little bit bigger than the actual image when I cut it out because I added an offset behind it. I am going to want to cut out 3 pieces off this offset. My characters are going to be one-sided, meaning that only the image is going to be in the front and there's not going to be an image in the back. You can do yours double-sided if you want to. But before that, remember I added an offset to mine. So I am going to want to cut out 3 pieces of this offset. So I'm going to actually color it so you can see it. I'm going to cut out 3 of these pieces. Remember, it actually printed with the offset. And I'm just going to move this to the side and I'm going to cut 3 pieces. The reason why I'm cutting 3 pieces is because I'm going to glue 1 piece behind my image and I'm going to glue 2 of them together. I'm cutting 3. So 1 of them behind the image and I'm going to glue 2 together, and the dowel is going to go in the middle of the image and the other 2 offsets, if that makes any sense. If you are doing, let me center this. Let me group this together so you don't get confused. I printed this out with the offset. So I technically just want to cut out 3 pieces of this image. So let me right click and duplicate it so you don't get confused, and move this to the side. And I'm just gonna color this entire thing black. So this is my image with the offset, and I'm cutting this out of regular color cardstock. One of them I'm gluing behind it so it can be more sturdy, right? And let me, and I'm cutting 2 extra ones to glue together so it could be more sturdy. And I'm gonna glue a dowel here, and then when these 2 are glued together, I'm going to put this on the front, and the dowel is going to be in the middle, sandwiched in. Okay, now if you are doing your characters double-sided, meaning that you want an image in the front and an image in the back, all you have to do is right click and flip horizontal. And hold on, because you're going to right click and flip horizontal with your offset. Now you're going to print this out, and you're going to only need 2 of these cutouts to go behind of each image. And technically you have 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Regardless, you're always going to have 2 in the front, 2 in the back. 1 image in the front, 1 image in the back, and each of the images is going to have this. But if you're only doing one-sided image, so it's going to be 1 image, 1 cutout, and 2 cutouts in the back, if that makes any sense. I like mine to be very sturdy. Once you are done printing and cutting everything out, we are going to start putting everything together. So let's head on over there. All right, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to insert the paper into my printer. Again, I have an EcoTank 16600, but you can use any printer of your choice. Now this one, it is a wide format printer, and as you can see, it has 2 trays in the bottom and 1 tray in the back. I like to print my thick cardstock from the paper tray, meaning from the back paper tray. So I'll be using 12 by 12 cardstock. So what I have to do is I have to insert my cardstock in the back, and then I'm going to have to align it with the blue tabs to make sure that my cardstock is tight in there. So these, I'm going to stretch them out and add my cardstock. And make sure I close the blue tabs to make sure my cardstock is tight, and I inserted them in the back. Make sure everything's aligned correctly. Now when I inserted the cardstock, it's going to ask me to select what kind of paper I'm using. It already says user defined because I already printed them out, but on the paper size, I'm going to click, and then so let's say you had it on 8 by 11. So here's all the different paper sizes you can use. I am going to go all the way down to user defined, and I'm going to type 12 by 12. So I just had to click on it and type 12, and then click on OK and all that. Then I'm going to click on OK, and then on the paper type, I like to print on presentation paper matte. Click on it. So remember, first spot was at the media size, the second spot was at printer preferences, and then the third spot you had to add your details was on the printer. So there's 3 different spots. You have to make sure everything is the same. If you're using 8 by 11, make sure all 3 spots say 8 by 11. If you're using 11 by 17, make sure that all 3 spots is the paper size that you're going to be using, so everything goes smoothly. So my printer is already set to go, so I'm going to start printing everything out and cut everything. If you want to learn how to cut out with multiple machines, I have a separate tutorial so you can learn how to. I'll leave the link down below as well. Alright, so here are all the characters printed out and all the solid cardstock cut out. Each character I cut out 3 extra pieces of solid cardstock. You do not need to do this step, but remember I told you guys that I want my items to be sturdy. So each character is going to have 3 solid cardstock pieces cut out. So the first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my image and glue 1 piece of solid cardstock behind it. Then I'm going to grab the other 2 pieces of cardstock and glue them together. I'm going to go ahead and do this with each of my characters. Okay, so these characters are actually going to go on top of some boxes. So I need to put a dowel in between. Now I am going to be shipping these characters, so I'm not actually going to glue the dowel on the characters. So what you see me doing here is I'm doing a line of hot glue on both sides of the dowel. I am not hot gluing the dowel because I'm going to be shipping them without the dowel inside. So I'm actually making kind of like a tunnel so the customer knows exactly where to put the dowel in. So you see I added the dowel in the middle and I put 2 lines of hot glue on each side so it creates a tunnel. Then I'm going to let that hot glue dry and I'm going to glue both pieces, the solid color cardstock in the back and my image on the front with just regular glue. You will see me here putting the dowel in so I know exactly where it's going, and then I'm gonna put glue on each side of the character, making sure that I'm only gluing the sides together so there is a little bit of space in the middle for the customer to reinsert the dowel in the middle. So here you're going to see that it's easily to take out the dowel and then insert it back in. So that's the reason why I did it this way. Again, you can do it any other way you feel like it. You can even leave the dowel in there and glue it. But like I said, this is going to be shipped, so I didn't want to leave the dowel inside. So now you're going to see me repeat all the same steps with each character. So with her, you're going to see that I didn't glue her legs all the way down because her legs are skinny. So I needed room for the dowel to go in. So all I did was I glued her shoes together, and you're still able to see the dowel, but that's perfectly fine. So here it is how they all turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and comment down below any other tutorials you would like to see from me. Don't forget to join my Facebook crafting group, Andrina's Creations Crafting Lounge. I would love to see all your work there. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell to get notified every time I upload new videos. Also, don't leave yet, guys. I'm going to show you how I'm going to package them up to ship them. As you see here, I am going to be removing all the dowels off the characters, and I'm going to package them up. The reason why I'm doing this is because if I left the dowels inside, I will have to use a bigger box, and I didn't want to do that. And this customer has ordered from me before. She already knows where to put the dowels in. And all right, guys, so you're gonna see the rest of the video, and don't forget again to please give me a big thumbs up and comment down below any other videos you would like to see from me. And as always, I hope everyone's having a blessed day, and see you on my next tutorial. Bye bye.